Hi everyone and welcome. This is Eagle News. I'm EJ Gonzalez in Washington. It's Saturday, January 20, 2024, here in the nation's capital. The week's recap begins with celebrations welcoming 2024 taking many shapes, like in Pasadena, California, where the 135th Rose Parade kicks off the new year with a music-themed spectacular. Eva and Alan with that story.
Welcome, Net 25, to the world-famous Rose Parade.
The theme of the 2024 Rose Parade presented by Honda is Celebrating a World of Music, the Universal Language.
With vibrant sights, flowery smells, and of course, sounds of music, this parade sings to the heart through a variety of senses.
It's just such an amazing event. I mean, television is great, but being here and seeing the floats live, seeing the equestrians, the bands, just all the different people every year from the different universities, it sets the tone for the year.
Well, I mean, just the colors. The colors are just amazing. Not just, the roses, the palm trees, just the sights, the scenery. People wearing their Alabama gear, their Michigan gear. It's just a beautiful sight that really just watching on TV really doesn't do it justice.
I really think it's the marching bands. My little brother's actually in the Michigan marching band, so that's why we came out here with our families.
And then the roses. There are million kinds of roses decorated on the parade, so it's just something you have to come to smell it and then to experience it.
With a new year came new reasons to celebrate. We asked attendees to share their personal good news for 2024.
Our relationship, because we've known each other about a half a year.
I'm just very attracted to him. That's about all I have to say. He's a great guy.
I'm in public education, and so I'm considering retirement.
I'm retired!
We were fortunate to bring in some foster animals into our household, and they're all finding really nice homes.
New home, new job. Kids are doing great, and just, again, family togetherness. The music of family laughter is what's important.
Music is a rare medium that has the means to transcend barriers and connect people.
And with a potential global viewership reaching into the millions, connecting people around the world is something that the Rose Parade accomplishes year after year.
Eva and Alan, Pasadena, California, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
The humanitarian situation in Gaza continues to deteriorate. Despite calls from the international community for a ceasefire, it appears that neither side is willing to lay down their arms to allow badly needed aid to get through. Thomas I. Likeness tells us more.
We need an immediate humanitarian ceasefire to ensure sufficient aid gets to where it's needed.
That's United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres making another plea for both sides in the Israel-Hamas conflict to push the pause button on the war. Constant Israeli airstrikes have turned much of Gaza into a wasteland. Hundreds of thousands of people have been displaced after seeing their homes destroyed. They live in squalid conditions like this. Food, fuel, and medicine have been blocked, with only small amounts of humanitarian aid trickling into the territory. Guterres sums it up.
The humanitarian situation in Gaza is beyond words. Nowhere and no one is safe.
These camps have little or no sanitation. Clean drinking water is hard to come by. Hunger is rampant. Samer Abdel-Jabbar of the World Food Program says they cannot keep up with the demand. He too pleads for a ceasefire.
The needs are rising faster than we are able to respond. We need to be able to bring in more supplies, and we need safe access to reach people everywhere in Gaza, not just those who are close to the borders. We need a long-lasting ceasefire to stop the suffering.
The healthcare situation is horrendous. Only 16 hospitals are operating in the territory, many of them damaged by airstrikes. Before the war, there used to be 36. Minimal staff tries to handle a deluge of patients. There's a shortage of medicine and supplies. Doctors use minimal amounts of medicine to make those supplies last. A Doctors Without Borders medic describes Gaza as a place that is destroyed, and what is not destroyed is full of people. The charity's emergency coordinator, Helen Ottens-Patterson, says it's difficult to deliver medical care.
I think the situation is catastrophic, and we need unhindered humanitarian access as soon as possible, and we need a ceasefire to allow us to work properly.
On the political front, for the first time in a month, U.S. President Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke with each other. U.S. National Security spokesman John Kirby says part of that discussion centered on humanitarian aid.
Two leaders also reviewed the situation in Gaza and the shift to targeted operations that will enable the flow of increasing amounts of humanitarian assistance while keeping the military pressure on Hamas and its leaders.
But whether this talk will produce any meaningful results remains to be seen. And it falls far short of the ceasefire that so many people around the world are calling for. Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
In other news, our Las Vegas team takes a look at this year's Consumer Electronics Show, or CES 2024, and shares with us several standouts that undeniably caught their eye. Bureau Chief Anna Cui tells us more.
CES, the world's largest technology trade show, wraps up here in Las Vegas.
Tech junkie or not, everyone had something to appreciate and enjoy at this amazing trade show. We're here to share just a few of our favorite finds from CES 2024. First off, CES attendees are never disappointed with the latest TV innovations from Samsung and LG, unveiling their new transparent TV technology this year. The TV screen is see-through and can display art or videos or any graphics of your choosing when it's not on. Samsung's transparent micro-LED screen and LG's wireless transparent OLED with its vibrant colors were definitely a must-see at CES 2024. Next, we have artificial intelligence, and it is everywhere at CES with applications that can make our lives easier. Take a look at Samsung's Wally. It is an updated personal assistant robot. It's actually bigger in size with an onboard projector and AI features. Now, for those of you who are not ready for a real pet, meet Luna, a companion robot built with integrated ChatGPT, enabling it to hold conversations. Now, this cute little bot can play a range of interactive games, can be used as a home security camera, and since it's programmable, it can be used as a teaching tool with endless possibilities. Looking for tech just for kids, but very much parent-approved? Well, here's Brian Tan from MyFirst to tell us about their devices that can help families stay connected.
So MyFirst is a kids tech ecosystem. Whatever grown-ups can do with technology, kids can do the same, but with safety for them. And it all works through a kid's social platform. So a kid can take a picture on a connected camera. They can share it with the parents. Parents can see it on the smartphone app. Grandparents can see it on the in-home photo frame.
Best thing about their products that parents would love are its safety features.
So take, for example, our kids' headphones, right? They have smart transparency mode. That means that when the headphones detect the kids moving, it pipes in environmental noise so that when a kid is crossing the road, they can hear if a car is coming. Or like, say, our kid's wearable smartphone, there's an SOS button. They can call, voice call, video call, anybody, anytime. So you're always connected with your family and friends. And on a social platform, they can also share, but parents are in control over who the kids are in contact with. So the idea is you put different contacts in different circles of trust, and then the kids can interact freely, but in a trusted environment.
And lastly, innovations in digital health is always something to look forward to at CES. Withings unveiled their latest 4-in-1 handheld device that can measure body temperature and heart rate, as well as your oxygen saturation level. What's so exciting about it is that in addition to producing medical-grade EKG, it also has a built-in digital stethoscope that can record heart and lung sounds. Withings said all of these data can be sent to the doctor and can truly enhance a telehealth visit, especially for those who have history of respiratory-related conditions.
In Las Vegas, Anna Cui, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
In other news, eligible children in 35 states, all 5 territories, and 4 tribes will be receiving grocery benefits this summer. This in an effort to close what is called the summer hunger gap. Rochelle Feria reports.
2024's Summer Electronic Benefit Transfer Program is anticipated to serve close to 21 million children here in the United States. This means a total of nearly $2.5 billion in grocery benefits for eligible children during the summer when they are not benefiting from food served in schools. This year, states, territories, and tribes will provide families with $120 per eligible child for the summer to buy food at grocery stores, farmer markets, or other authorized retailers. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack says the program helped make progress in closing the summer hunger gap and ensuring children are nourished and healthy year-round. Reports show that providing summer EBT reduced child hunger and improved diet quality. In the past, summer grocery benefits decreased the number of kids with very low food security by about 1/3. It also supported healthier diets, featuring more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. The USDA encourages families to participate in all summer nutrition programs available to them. Summer meal sites provide free meals to families across the country. Many rural communities now offer to-go or home-delivered summer meals to increase access to this vital nutrition support. According to the USDA, 1 in every 5 children is unsure where they will get their next meal. It says 13 million U.S. children experience food insecurity annually. Rosel Feria, Washington, D.C. Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
In Canada, observing the National Day of Remembrance for Victims of Air Disasters, the country pays tribute to the memory of the victims of Flight PS752. Yolanda Espiras tells us more.
4 years ago, 55 Canadians and 30 permanent residents were killed in the downing of the Flight PS752. Federal, provincial, local officials and mourners came together Tuesday to remember and pay tribute to the victims of this tragedy. All 176 passengers aboard this flight were killed. Iranian officials shut down the aircraft by 2 surface-to-air missiles fired by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The remembrance ceremony was held in Richmond Hill, Ontario, during which the names of all the victims were read out and a moment of silence was held. Those in attendance included Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Minister of Foreign Affairs Melanie Joly, Ukraine Ambassador to Canada Yulia Kovalev, amongst others. Prime Minister Trudeau has reiterated that Canada continues to work with Sweden, Ukraine, and the United Kingdom in holding Iran accountable for this tragedy with the International Court of Justice. In memory of those killed on Flight PS52, January 9th has been regarded as the National Day of Remembrance for Victims of Air Disasters. Yolanda Aspiras, Toronto, Ontario, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Still in Canada, as the country's most populous city deals with homelessness, the government is granting Toronto over $470 million in housing funds. Ashley Sakmar reports.
Toronto starts off the new year with fresh funding from the federal government, $471 million to create more affordable houses and improve the city's housing system. The Housing Accelerator Fund, or HAF, is a resource from the Government of Canada, which aims to build 100,000 new homes across the country in the next 3 years. These homes are set to be built in communities where low to middle income families live and those who live close to public transit. Mayor Olivia Chow says that the city's goal is to build about 12,000 new homes in the next 3 years and 65,000 rent-controlled homes by 2031. The provincial target is to build 285,000 homes across Ontario. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau acknowledges that Toronto needs more new homes fast and that he's willing to work with the mayors to cut red tape and speed up the building of houses. Housing is one of the main critical problems in Toronto, with housing costs growing 4 times faster than a person's income, with the city's population growing 10 times faster than the development of housing. As a Sackmore, Toronto, Ontario, Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
Now, still in Toronto, shortage in housing makes the current extreme winter weather more difficult for the city. This past week, warming centers are reportedly filled to capacity as thousands seek shelter to escape the unfriendly freezing temperatures. Again, we have Yolanda Espiras.
Temperatures in the Greater Toronto Area plunge this week as the city experiences negative temperatures with heavy winds and snow. The City of Toronto is working on opening more warming centers to help vulnerable residents warm throughout these days of extreme cold weather. These warming centers are located in downtown Toronto, North York, and Scarborough areas, in which they also provide some food, warm blankets, sleeping bags, and warm winter clothing. Last weekend, all of Toronto's main warming centers were at capacity, especially on Saturday when the temperature dropped to negative 15 degrees Celsius, which has called for more warming centers to be open for longer. This extreme cold weather is especially dangerous to people who experience homelessness, who may end up in a library or public transit if they are unable to access a warming center. Yolanda Espiras, Toronto, Ontario, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Now back here in the US, let's head over to Houston, Texas and find out how city officials help prepare residents for the Arctic blast this week. Mayfunway Zaragoza has the details.
All across the nation, as different parts of the country made preparations for this week's Arctic blast, South Texas was no exception. Here in the city of Houston, Texas, government officials and first responders took immediate action to mitigate potential casualties and provide resources for those in need. While South Texas did not sustain extensive snowfall and ice like its neighbors to the north, the biggest concern here were icy road conditions. Houston Mayor John Whitmire held a press conference to address how the city would deal with residents' concerns.
First responders are on duty, Public Works, the Health Department. We're opening additional warming centers. We want to thank our partners, the faith community, the YMCA, the Salvation Army. I want to mention that Metro currently will pick you up and take you to a warming center by calling 311. Area schools are shutting down. We've been in contact with HISD. I'm urging again, stay off the roads. Obviously, we know to, again, mention protect your pipes and plants and your pets. BARC has rescue teams out. It is now against state law to leave your pets, animals unattended in this dangerous weather. So I think the city of Houston is doing everything possible. I'm pleased with the response.
During the hard freeze, which plunged temperatures into the 20s and teens from Monday to Wednesday, the city coordinated with nonprofits and local transportation partners to bring nearly 2,000 people to warming centers.
What we do as a team during a serious weather event, such as a cold front. When we're experiencing these cold weather events, my team goes out and we have vans like this one that are wheelchair accessible to help those who are limited in mobility. And we can transport people to the warming centers to help keep them safe. We also try to educate those that are experiencing homelessness or those that are exposed to the elements on what they could do to help keep themselves safe, and also how to contact us, because not everybody's going to be ready when we're ready. We as the Homeless Outreach Team also work with many community partners that are nonprofits, church organizations, or anybody in the community that wants to help the homeless.
Houston Police Department reported 123 confirmed weather-related crashes, 300 traffic hazard calls, and 4 deceased, either to foul play or weather. Houston Fire Department reported 34 medical events related to cold weather, 355 car crashes, including 15 requiring extrication. As of Wednesday 2 p.m., warming centers were officially closed as temperature rose above freezing. Schools were reopened and normal operations resumed. Mayor Whitmire expressed his thanks for the collective effort of not only the various first responders and community organizations, but also residents themselves.
We have a record of unity during challenging times, and we're going to get through this. This is something that gives us an opportunity to demonstrate to Houstonians that their city government is working.
Stay tuned for further updates. In Houston, Texas, I'm May Van Zaragoza, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Meanwhile, in a recent report released by the World Health Organization, it says that in 2022, tobacco rates declined globally. The health agency says at present, 150 countries are successfully reducing tobacco use. Rosel Feria has that story on Health is Well.
A significant decrease in tobacco consumption has been reported by the World Health Organization. According to WHO's report on trends in prevalence of tobacco use 2000 to 2030, in 2022, 1 in 5 adults worldwide consumed tobacco. This compared to 1 in 3 in the year 2000. The report also notes that 150 countries are reducing tobacco consumption successfully. It mentions Brazil making a relative reduction of 35% since 2010 and the Netherlands close to reaching its 30% reduction target. The health agency urges countries to keep putting in place and implementing tobacco control policies. It also asks countries to resist tobacco industry interference and accelerate tobacco control efforts. WHO says surveys across countries reveal that children aged 13 to 15 are using tobacco and nicotine products. In an effort to shield the youth from the effects of tobacco use, this year's World No Tobacco Day will be dedicated to protecting children from tobacco industry interference. Rosel Feria, Washington, D.C. Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Extraordinary stories from Thomas I likeness, from a Toymaker helping indigenous amputees in Bolivia to the world's largest iceberg melting away, and newborn gorillas in Prague, Czech Republic, and London. Here's this week's Correspondent at Large.
And now news and commentary from around the globe. The skeptics, the anti-vaxxers, they tell you it doesn't work. It's dangerous. Just a money grab by Big Pharma. Scientists tell us differently. I'm talking about the COVID-19 vaccine. Dr. Hans Kluge, he's with the World Health Organization in Europe. He says vaccines have saved more than 1 million lives in Europe.
Today, there are 1.4 million people in our region, most of them elderly, who are around to enjoy life with their loved ones because they took the vital decision to be vaccinated against COVID-19.
Kluge says COVID and other respiratory diseases aren't going anywhere. He adds that it's vital for people to keep their COVID and flu immunizations up to date. I want to tell you about a toy maker in Bolivia, in South America. He uses his skills to help amputees. Rolly Mamami grew up in poverty. In fact, as a child, he built his own toys. As a child, he built his first remote-controlled car. Rolly, who you see here, became an engineer. Kept making robotic toys, though, which have made him a lot of money. Enough money to fund his other venture, making prosthetic limbs for Indigenous compatriots scarred by life-changing accidents. He uses a 3D printer to make these artificial limbs. What prompted him to do this? Well, after achieving success, everything changed when he heard about a rural man without hands, and he thought to himself, wait a minute, I can make them for him. Since 2018, he's made more than 400 artificial limbs, half of them delivered free of charge or at the cost of production, funded by his robotic sales. Here's one of his clients, 59-year-old Pablo Matha. Pablo lost his vision and right hand 7 years ago in a mining accident involving dynamite. Matha says the prosthesis has helped him regain his self-respect. He even plays guitar now. plays guitar, and that's how he earns a living. And he achieved this because Rolly Mamani decided he could make a difference. Get ready to say your goodbyes to the world's largest iceberg. It's only going to be around for a few more months. This chunk of ice broke away from the Antarctic coastline back in 1986. Now, how big is this thing? Almost 4,000 square kilometers, and it has a name. Not very catchy. Its moniker is A23A. Erosion is sculpting huge caves and arches into the walls of the iceberg, and it's recently begun moving in the direction of the South Orkney Islands. The warmer waters will take its toll on A23A. In months, it's expected to disappear. Couple of birth announcements now, one in Prague in the Czech Republic, the other in London. Both newborns, they're gorillas. The Prague Zoo welcomed its new baby just after the New Year on January 2nd. The female infant hasn't been named yet. Now, its name will be chosen from suggestions sent in by children who live in Cameroon. The Prague Zoo has been cooperating with that country on gorilla protection. And in London, this baby gorilla entered the world after a short labor. Its mom was in labor for just 17 minutes. The baby gorilla's gender has not yet been confirmed. Both of these animals are western lowland gorillas. That's a critically endangered species. They inhabit the dense rainforests of West and Central Africa. Numbers have declined by about 60% since the turn of the century. Deforestation, poaching, and disease are the reasons. And I'll be back in 7 days, but in the meantime, I wish you all peace, joy, and happiness in the ensuing week. Thomas I. Likeness, Correspondent at Large, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Papua New Guinea takes a historic step towards strengthening international relations and furthering economic growth. This with the first regular direct flight between China and South Pacific nation. Here's Echo Hortaleza Quinola on Oceania at a glance.
This link, as the Minister stated, brings immense opportunity to our capital city and to our country.
Port Moresby Governor Poes Parkop announces that this weekly China Southern Airlines flight service opens the opportunity for China and Port Moresby to capitalize and explore the world of import and export. Chinese Ambassador in Papua New Guinea Zhen Fang Hua shares the same sentiments.
I think from today onwards, exchange of people between our two countries will become more convenient with this direct flight.
Port Moresby, the gateway to Papua New Guinea, looks forward to thriving business prospects and valuable trade offerings.
From Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, Echo Hortaleza Quinola, Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
With 2023 now done and gone, many are gearing up for a fresh start with resolutions for the new year. From fitness targets to career goals to refocusing on connections with friends. New Year's goals motivate people to embrace change and self-improve. In Pasadena, California, Eva Basayahe reports.
It's that time of year again for New Year's resolutions. What better place than at the iconic Rose Parade in Pasadena, California to ask folks what they are resolved to achieve in 2024.
My resolution is to stay more connected with my friends and family. With friends, I'm sure it's like an array of things. Just like, just being more happy and connected, I think is most important.
To be kind and considerate of people, to help the homeless.
I think my biggest resolution this year is just to keep really working towards my school and career goals. I'm a junior at the University of Alabama, so roll tide. I'm just really looking forward to all the opportunities I have coming up with my career and my schooling and continuing my education and getting a start in my career.
I know this sounds cliche, but it's really to stay in shape, is to get back in shape and stay in shape. Kind of be consistent. At my age, it's like, okay, we got to start taking our health really serious now. And so it is, again, it's cliche, but consistently stay in shape.
Resolutions are to be healthy, to be kind, to spend time with family, and enjoy experiences.
If you missed the New Year's resolution boat, don't worry. You still have almost 12 months left to figure out what your 2025 goals should be. Eva Pasayahe, Pasadena, California. Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Before we let you go, here's our photo of the week. This is a part of Point Lobos State Natural Reserve in Monterey, California. This natural reserve has been called the crown jewel of California's state park system. Painter Francis McComas described Point Lobos as the greatest meeting of land and water in the world. Thank you, James Maxwell, for this beautiful photograph. And thank you all for joining us again. If there are stories or topics you want us to share with you, just comment below. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and X at Eagle News Live. I am EJ Gonzalez. We live in extraordinary times. Stay happy and healthy, everyone.